Colorado is going to be taking on Nebraska this week. I've been waiting all off season for this game. I know a lot of you fans out there probably have other games that you have circled on the calendar that you've been waiting for. I know that Colorado, Nebraska haven't really been the best of programs over the last couple of years, but listen, I got a really toxic relationship when it comes to Colorado football under Deion Sanders. Like, no matter how much money I lose betting on these dudes, I, for some reason, cannot stop paying attention to Colorado's football program. And it's like every game they play, I just have to watch. And this is a very important game for both of these programs, because for Nebraska, if Dylan Raiola really is the potential savior of your football program, although he is a true freshman, there is a good amount of pressure on him in this game because you need to see him be able to play as good as Shedeur Sanders. You're not going to win this game if you don't get a halfway decent effort out of Dylan Raiola. Because the main reason why you got blown out by Colorado last year was because you had no quarterback at all. Listen, I always support my 904 brethren, but it was hard to watch Jeff Sims out there at quarterback. With Dylan Raiola, if he can give you average, slightly above average quarterback play in this game, or even better, there's a great shot Nebraska has at winning this thing. The same problems that Colorado had last year when they went 4-8 were still big problems that we saw get exploited in their close win over North Dakota State. Now, I know North Dakota State is just not your average run-of-the-mill FCS squad. They are one of the blue blood programs at the FCS level. But South Dakota State lost by several possessions to Oklahoma State. You know, and for Colorado, their offensive line still didn't look that improved. They got an elite group of wide receivers. They got 4 NFL wide receivers in their receiving room. So the passing game, if they can give Shedeur Sanders time to throw in this game, he's going to dice up Nebraska's secondary. But that's easier said than done because Nebraska has an experienced defense. They got a lot of depth on their front seven. And this is going to be a big test for Colorado. I'm not going to judge you based off one game, the first game of the season. But week 2, this team needs to look like the team that a lot of us thought they could be coming into this year, which is a potential 8 to maybe 10 win team. Colorado does have enough talent where with the Big 12 being wide open, they could win this conference. But you still are going to need to be better up front if you're going to be able to achieve that. And Nebraska is the first true test for Colorado this season. And for Matt Rule, I'm not going to say that there's not any pressure on him to win this game because this is a rivalry game. But if Nebraska was to lose, yes, the fan base will be upset. Plus, this being a home game adds to the pressure. But Colorado has more to prove in this game with the fact that they really believe down there in Boulder that they have a team that's able to make a run at winning this conference and making it into the college football playoffs. So if that team is as good as what Deion Sanders and that coaching staff feel it is, then they should be able to take care of business against Nebraska. And they are a 7-point underdog, which is really shocking to me because a week ago, Nebraska was only a 4-point favorite. And despite me being upset about how Colorado performed against North Dakota State, I'm still having a hard time picking against them against Nebraska because no matter what, Colorado's offensive line could be trash. Their defensive line could be trash as well. But Nebraska, despite how improved they are this year, I still don't see them blowing out Colorado at home. For Colorado to lose this game, you need Shedeur Sanders to have an off night where he just has 2-3 interceptions and he just completely unravels. And it's hard to see that happening. For as much hate as Shedeur gets, we all should be able to agree that he's one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And anytime you give him an opportunity to win the game with the ball in his hands, he normally pulls through. And you got not just Travis Hunter at wide receiver, but you got Jimmy Horn Jr., you got Will Shepherd, a transfer from Vanderbilt, you got LaJohntay Western. Colorado is 4 or 5 deep at wide receiver. This team, at least from an offensive standpoint, looks very similar to those old school Texas Tech teams that were coached by Mike Leach. They're all offense. They want to put the ball in the air about 30, 40 times a game, and they only run the football when need be. Well, in this game, you're going to have to be able to play somewhat of some complementary football. You don't have to ground and pound Nebraska to death, but you at least need to be able to run the football and third and short situations. You need to be able to pick up at least the tough yards in these 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2 scenarios, because last week against North Dakota State, your run game wasn't good in short yardage situations. And when you lose a time of possession battle to a team like North Dakota State, it shows you just how badly you got bullied up front. And with Nebraska having a way better offensive line and defensive line than North Dakota State, we're going to need to see some massive improvement out of Colorado on the interior of their O-line and D-line. They got the talent to have a good game. Maybe it's just first game jitters or whatnot, but you're going to need guys like Jordan Seaton to play one of their best games of the season, because things don't get no easier from here. This is one of a billion tests for Colorado this year. This schedule is a gauntlet. They may not have a lot of powerhouse schools like they did last year, but this is a schedule that, you know, it's going to be pretty tough for Colorado to win a lot of games based off how they played last year. And Nebraska hasn't been tested yet at all. I mean, they played UTEP. They took care of business, but Colorado's way better than UTEP. And we're going to see if this offense is going to be able to put up enough points to be able to go tick for tack with Colorado offensively, because in spite of how good Nebraska is defensively, I still don't see them holding Colorado to under 24 points with how much depth and talent they have at receiver. You see, even if Colorado's offensive line gets pushed around, with how much talent they have at wideout, they're good enough where they can convert a 3rd and long. You feel me? Because with the amount of talent they have at receiver, you have so much explosiveness is that one play could result in a touchdown. You don't have that same big play, one touchdown ability with Nebraska offensively, because they only have about 2 decent receivers. They don't have a lot of depth at that position. They're mainly a team that wants to beat you by running the football, being able to win the time of possession battle, but they do have the ability to play some complementary football with Dylan Raiola at QB. And despite him being a true freshman, I do think that he's wired a little bit differently than what you normally would see out of a true freshman. And Nebraska is no stranger to starting quarterbacks fresh out of high school. Adrian Martinez, he started as a true freshman under Scott Frost, and he had a pretty decent true freshman campaign. So, I mean, Dylan Raiola definitely could be good enough to give Nebraska the win. But ultimately, I still can't take Nebraska to win. I still got to roll with Shedeur Sanders and the Buffs, man. It's just hard to bet against Shedeur with the amount of talent that he has to throw the ball to at receiver. You got Travis Hunter, who is the best player in college football, and the pass rush did improve, you know, but with Dylan Raiola being so young and this most likely being a close one-possession game, I don't trust them to be able to play mistake-free football. I do think there's going to be a couple of turnovers that cost Nebraska in this game. At least with Shedeur, you know that you're not going to see too many turnovers, too many mistakes. This dude is as flawless as what it gets at the quarterback position, and that's the main reason why I got to side with Colorado to win this game. You see, the teams that are able to win on the road are the teams that are able to get high-level quarterback play, and they're able to come through in the biggest moments. Colorado isn't as bad as a team as what we saw last week. I definitely think you're going to see a better performance out of this squad this week. And I don't see Nebraska, at least right now, year 2 under Matt Rule, being a team that can just beat a team like Colorado by more than 2 possessions. I mean, this is going to be a 1-possession game. It's going to come down to who can make the big plays in the last 4 minutes in the fourth quarter. And that team, I feel, is really going to be Colorado. So give me Colorado with the 31-27 victory. That's who I'm taking to win this game, and that's my score prediction.